From New York City, this is Entertainment Weekly, the show. This week, I climb into the ring with Alison Brie and Gilpin, go to the Clone Zone with the cast of Orphan Black, and get the cast of Power's 2 cents on 50 Cent. Plus, the latest Entertainment Weekly cover is the assassination of Gianni Versace American Crime Story, and we're catching up with its all-star cast. So break out your 90s couture, people, because the show starts now. Welcome to the show. This week's cover is the latest installment of Ryan Murphy's true crime docuseries, and it premieres in 2018. EW was on set for a special first look. Check it out.
Hi, I'm Edgar Ramirez, and you are on the set of our Entertainment Weekly cover shoot.
This show is about the life and death of Gianni Versace in Miami Beach.
If somebody was so beloved, how could this happen?
What happened before his death? What happened after? It's a fascinating story.
A murder that should have never happened and that could have been avoided had we paid more attention.
To be able to shoot in the house where everything happens is nothing but a luxury.
This is the spot. Those are the stairs. Those are the gates. That is the pool.
You walk into the rooms and you can sense the story behind it.
The very fabric, the veins of this home are bleeding his presence.
So one day I received a phone call from the one and only Ryan Murphy, and he offered me this part. And are you kidding me?
He's a very, very talented director and producer and creator. He just has, his mind never stops.
This story has everything. It has sex, it has politics, it has history, it has violence, sensuality, beauty, design, fashion. It's perfect. I mean, dramatically, it's a perfect story.
When you think about the murder of Gianni Versace, you think about his murder. Most people don't know the name of the person who killed him, but you know they were shot. You just don't know why. So this kind of explores that.
I really wanted to do it, but I knew it was gonna be a big challenge. And I had a few questions for him, and I saw that he was gonna treat this subject with so much respect. That was very important for me because we're talking about real people.
I tried to document myself as much as possible, through books and documentaries and interviews. I was lucky to find people who were kind enough and trustful enough to open up and talk to me.
To become the character is the most important part. His uncertainty, his anger, his fears, his pride.
The research to me is I'm not like looking up serial killers or the psychology behind that. That's just putting a blanket statement over Andrew, and he was certainly one in a million.
We all know Donatella Versace. We all know the way she moves, the way she speaks. On top of that, is somebody that I know and that I respect and admire very much.
I think it is amazing when you have the opportunity to tell a story that is so wrenching and moving, and at the same time, it has a social relevance and brings you to reflection and to have a closer look to the society we live in.
Thanks to Penelope Cruz, Edgar Ramirez, and the rest of the American Crime Story family. And we'll be right back with more show. Welcome back to the show. True crime has been a staple of TV and film since the very beginning, but how realistic are the stories that are getting told on screen? Here to discuss is the executive producer of the series Inside the FBI New York, Mark Levin, and 2 characters on the show, Don Borelli and Lou DiGregorio. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Okay, first question. Am I under investigation?
As far as you know, you're not.
Mark, I want to talk about how this series came to be, because historically the FBI has basically been a covert institution. How did you go about getting them to swing the doors wide open and let you in?
Well, I have to be honest, Dick Wolf really had met with Director Comey 2 years ago. And I know Dick from directing some of his Law & Order shows. And he came to me and said, I've got a unique opportunity. We have unprecedented access inside the FBI. The director wants to show a much more human face. And are you interested in spending the next year embedded in the New York office? And it was an offer I couldn't refuse.
So Jim Comey is behind this.
He certainly, as the director, had a vision of trying to make the FBI a more open institution. I think the principle, which I certainly would subscribe to, is that in facing the threats today, the counterterrorism and criminal threats that these gentlemen and others have faced, you need the cooperation and trust of citizens. You need them to know that they're on our side. Because there's no way to defend ourselves and to be secure unless you have cooperation from citizenry. So I think it was grounded in that. And then we live in a new media age. Come on, you have a president that's tweeting all the time, so this idea of a G-man who can only say no comment in the 21st century didn't make sense.
G-Men, talk about why you wanted to be a part of this project.
I thought for the first time they were bringing cameras into the FBI offices, which was unheard of. That's never happened before in my career with the FBI. And I've been in the New York office my entire career.
You were investigating the mafia for more than 2 decades, correct?
That's correct. My entire career, all except for 1 year, I investigated organized crime. Just as Mark had said, I thought it was a great idea, and I really thought Jim Comey was doing the right thing. We have to come out of the shadows. We can't operate in that environment anymore. And technology has linked us all together immensely over the last 40, 50 years. And the FBI has to be a part of that. And we can't just operate in a vacuum, so to speak, anymore. And this was one of the opportunities that I saw. And let's get this message out there. Let's try to get the message out to the public that this is the agency we are, and we're trying to put a new face on it, and we need your cooperation to do that. So I really thought it was a great idea.
So many times, I mean, the FBI is on TV, in the news, because of a mistake or a perceived mistake that the FBI has made or something bad has happened. And so many times, the good stories don't make TV because they kind of generally, the FBI, we go about our business, we do our thing, we put people in jail, we disrupt plots, and so many times the public never hears about all the good work that's being done. This project was a great way to show people that there's a lot of good work being done that you never hear about, and the FBI doesn't, yes, mistakes sometimes get made, but by and large, so many good things are done that outnumber the mistakes. So this was a great way for everybody to see that.
And we're seeing actual investigations unfold. How do you go about filming that, giving us the intimacy that we need without compromising these investigations?
Well, that is a great question, and that really was the trickiest negotiation, quite honestly. We actually were surprised that on the national security front, we got more access. It was only when we stepped into the criminal divisions that this question that you've just brought up of not wanting to anyone jeopardize an ongoing criminal investigation, prosecution. So we really, again, had to cooperate and figure out together, put our heads together. And I guess the formula we came up with is you can't know who Don is or Lou is without seeing what they do. And the idea that we couldn't have arrests was like, wait a second, what does Dick unprecedented access mean if we can't go on a takedown or, and a television audience condition that, that's kind of part of what law enforcement does. So we came up with a formula where the FBI had the right to review everything for national security, not jeopardizing national security, sources and methods, and ongoing prosecutions and investigations. And that included not only the FBI, the Southern District, and the Eastern District, but we went for certain pieces. Some of these investigations last years, so it wasn't realistic that you could follow it from literally the case being opened all the way through. Like one counterintelligence investigation that we actually did that wasn't in the series was 10 years. So
that's not a Law and Order 55-minute episode.
Doesn't just fit in. But we said we need moments where the agents and analysts are actually involved in an investigation, so you see what they do, but just a piece, so that it really isn't going to jeopardize you. It's just a piece of that, and you have the right to review that.
Mark, when the FBI is in the news and the headlines every day, does that help or hurt a show like yours? I
think it helps in that people are interested. I get, it's probably a little frustrating if they tune in, they're expecting an expose, ours like, okay, what's the real story on the Russian hacking or the New York office's role? Because that's not what the series was about. But I think it helps. Look, I watched Comey's testimony with some active special agents. That was fascinating. You know, when he, in his opening statement, reached out to speak to special agents and everybody that worked in the FBI because he didn't have a chance because of the way he was fired. It was fascinating just to see the response. Regardless of people's political leanings, I think there was an emotional response, just that, you know, he's speaking to us, and you know, he wants us to know that he respects what we do.
Talk to us about what television and films tend to get right about the FBI and what they tend to get wrong.
One thing I think, a perception that you see in movies and TV shows, that when the FBI comes into an investigation, it's like, all right, we're in charge, everybody else go home, you know, the big, you know, the 100-pound, or, you know, the big gorilla in the room and so forth. So I think that's not true. Every investigation that I've been on, the FBI has, you know, welcomed partnership. You know, we try to be team players. No one agency, especially when it comes to national security, no one agency has the resources and capabilities to do everything. You need multiple agencies, a lot of different skill sets, expertise, technology, to put the pieces together it takes to make a case. And the FBI realizes that, but the perception in film and TV shows is the Bureau says, okay, we're in charge, everybody go home. That's not true.
You know, Ryan Murphy's American Crime is on the cover EW this week, and the upcoming season is about the Gianni Versace murder. Season 1 was about OJ, and that was a massive TV event. Why do you think audiences eat up this format?
When it comes into your home and you see a celebrity, and maybe it's somebody that you've seen on TV, or you know, somebody that you've been watching for a while, they kind of become part of your life, and I guess it's more real, as opposed to just, you know, you open up the morning newspaper and you certainly every day there's no shortage of people that have been, you know, killed and attacked and this and that. But when it's a celebrity and somebody that you've seen every day, I think it's certainly compelling.
Let me just add to that. If you look at it from the perspective of an investigator, say an investigative journalist who's really digging into it, such as Mr. Murphy, okay, they're going to find out all the details about what happened. And it's like doing a criminal case. I may know 100% of the details because I did the investigation, but you're only hearing 2% on the news. But all of those details may be very interesting. And if Mr. Murphy finds them very interesting and thinks that, hey, we can do something with this, you know, and put it out to the public, okay, and present it in some fashion that would be acceptable, okay, that's really important, because now they're getting maybe 60 or 70% of those details, which really make the whole thing more interesting to the public. So when you say, you know, why would something that happened years ago, yeah, it deals with a celebrity, okay. The location was, I believe, in South Beach, Miami.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have this you know, very high-profile location where a lot of celebrities go and hang out and so forth. But if the show's going to bring out more details, like sort of behind the scenes that never really get mentioned in the news because the reporter has 10 seconds to mention that Gianni Versace, you know, was killed and so forth like that, okay? But I think that's just another aspect of it, because it's the details in it. And a lot of times the FBI and the criminal side can't talk about those details prior to any prosecution, because everything is discoverable, especially today.
What do you think John Gotti would have made of you being followed around by cameras?
My guess would be that he probably would have invited us into the Raven Night over in Queens. He would have asked us if we wanted coffee. And you know, he would have sat down with a little smile on his face, and you know, he would have talked to us, and John would have stole the show, is what John would have done.
Exactly.
You know? And as soon as we left, he would have, you know, everybody inside, he would have been, he would be exactly that. He'd be cursing us, and, you know, what pieces of trash we are and so forth. You know, I think that's what John Gotti would have done.
We're going to play a game. It's called FBI or Effin' BS. The silence of the lambs. FBI or Effin' BS?
I'm going to say F and BS.
To a point, although there are people that the FBI does have profilers that look at serial killers, which was Jodie Foster's role. They're not new agents in Quantico. They're very seasoned, so F and BS mostly, but there is an element of truth in there.
The Untouchables. FBI or F and BS. This is one of my favorite films of all time, so please tell me it's FBI. Oh, no.
He was a Treasury agent. That wasn't FBI. That was a Treasury agent. So the story, yes, but not the agency.
Not the agency.
Yeah, Treasury.
Wolf of Wall Street.
I'm going to have to say FBI on that one.
I didn't see it, so I'll defer
I'm going to
to
say
you
FBI on
guys.
that one.
Yeah.
That was a
It's
pretty
in your
good...
backyard. You know you have problems around your time, so you have a
Yeah, Jordan and I
intimacy.
were good buddies, yeah. No, I'm only kidding.
No,
I'm going to say FBI on that one. That, you know, a lot of the stuff that the FBI did in that movie was stuff we would do. Certainly, the crime that they committed is high-profile crime and gets committed all the time. So I'm going to go with FBI on that one. Yeah.
Black Mass.
I'm going to say FBI on that one. Well, obviously, the movie was based on true events. I didn't know the agent Conley personally, but you know, they depicted him in a variety of ways, and I was a little confused about that. But I'm going to say FBI on that one. That was pretty
Too,
real.
yeah.
X-Files.
Oh, that's real. That's real.
Totally FBI.
Oh, yeah. That's no joke right there.
Yeah, we spend an inordinate amount of money on our budget on
I can't
that.
tell you how many aliens we've interviewed.
Well, your investigation into investigations on television and film has been very helpful, so thank you, thank you, thank you. And we'll be right back with more show. Welcome back. I'm here with Alison Brie and Betty Gilpin from the new show Glow. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
All right, well, let's talk about Glow.
Let's.
Okay, it's going to be a hit show on Netflix. I can feel it in my bones. The reviews have been spectacular.
Thank you.
Talk to me about how you two came to be a part of this project.
Yeah, my agents called me and said Jenji Cohen is making a new show for Netflix. It's about a women's wrestling television show in the 80s. And I was just so excited immediately at that whole idea. It was everything I never knew I always wanted.
Right.
And then I read the script, and the script was just incredible. The writing was so good, and the characters were so interesting and complex and flawed, which I always love. And that began my journey to fighting to convince them that I should be a part of the show.
Yeah, I had known Liz Flahav and Carly Mensch, the creators of Glow, previously as friends and playwrights before that, and they had told me that they were developing a show based on Glow, and I was like, what's Glow? Oh my God. I could not believe that this existed in the 80s and that I had never learned about it.
It was actually huge in the late 80s, from 1986 to 1990. People actually tuned in religiously to watch these women go at it, but you were unfamiliar with this world completely.
Yes.
Yeah, but I have good friends who watched it as a little girl. When they heard just that I was reading it in the process of, trying to book the role, they were like, you have to get this part. I love Glow.
Yes.
I was like, thank you for adding the pressure.
Yeah.
Feels great.
Yeah, I feel like it was big with children, gay men, and like a certain kind of straight man.
Yeah.
And I even said, I told my husband, I was like, apparently there's this thing called Glow. He was like, yeah, I watched every episode. I was like, learning a lot about you. Yeah.
Did that make you love him more or less?
Eventually more, once I fell in love with Glow, but at first I was alarmed. Yeah.
Okay, so how does one prepare to play a wrestler? Walk me through this process, because you obviously landed the role, but then you got to get into the spandex.
It was kind of a double assignment, figuring out who your real life character was, Ruth and Debbie, and then who your wrestling character was, Zoya the Destroyer and Liberty Bell, respectively.
It's like a Russian doll. You've got the character in the character in the character in the character.
It really was an actor's dream, this show, because as Betty's saying, yes, we had this like deep, complex, nuanced work in the relationships that we're playing outside of the ring between each other. And then you get inside the ring and you get to unveil this totally outlandish, over-the-top character, possibly offensive, because it's the 80s. Yeah. So
wrestling was super offensive at the 80s.
It was. There's a lot of, we really use racial stereotypes to people's advantages. And in interesting ways. It's kind of the fun thing about setting a show in the 80s and having some distance to be able to comment on stuff like that.
Wrestlers can be obviously very physically demanding. Broken bones, broken noses, your teeth look good. I mean, so.
These front four are fake. No real injuries, definitely real bruises. And when you watch the show, you'll see, if you see any bruise on my butt and legs, which you do, they're all real.
Yes, I had a fake tan on the show, and it got darker and darker as the show progressed because I just had so many bruises. I think all 14 of us, all 14 of us had this bruise right here from hitting the ropes. Yeah.
And then we had a lot of fingertip-shaped bruises around our legs and butt from body slams, from being lifted up in different, head scissors. There's a lot of lifting each other up.
And there's a move called the suplex. What is that?
Here, I'll show you the setup. I'll show you the setup.
Wait, but what about your camera right here?
I might.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So bend over towards, so maybe so it's like I'd punch you to get you over in this position. Then I'd have you here. Then we'd put your arm around me here. And then we'd whoop, and I would flip your body all the way over my body, and we both would fall back, so we'd be head to head, and your body would be going that way.
Wow. And just don't break your neck.
It's one of my favorite moves.
Like that. Was that good for you?
That feels good for me.
Good for me, too.
What's it like performing those moves and being that athletic before a crowd? Like the roar of the crowd.
You feel like a superhero. You really do. And things that hurt in the training gym and in practice, you felt nothing when you're performing them in front of a cheering crowd.
Oh yeah, throw me again, body throw me again. Yeah.
The characters are women who are really struggling to make a mark in Hollywood. They're struggling actresses. You guys are clearly are going to be on a hit show, but talk to me about those lean years. What were they like for you?
When you start out, you really do want to take any job. You're excited just to be working. So you don't really think even so much about that stuff. I think it's only later when you do sort of leave some rooms being like, ugh. But also that is just like a come down too from coming out of theater school where you're like, I can play any role. I can play warriors. I can play kings. Right. And then you're like, and now I hope to book this Spanish-speaking Pepto-Bismol commercial, which is something real that I auditioned for and was like, it's like, Dios mío. So it's just.
You're killing me.
Auditioning is tough for everyone.
Yeah, I do think the game is changing though. Shows like Glow and Orange is the New Black.
Absolutely.
I left set feeling so powerful every day, and I would merge more confidently on the highway. And
just the fact that this show and Orange is the New Black and a lot of shows that are on Netflix specifically right now feature fresh faces that we haven't seen before. So you are seeing this new way of casting where they're really looking for people. It's not about how thick the resume is, it's about innate ability and just people's essence and their talent, and that's really cool.
Is there going to be a season 2? Do you know yet?
We don't. We don't know. So fingers crossed. I'm hoping.
You ladies were awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to see you in the ring. Thank you. Thank you. Glow comes to Netflix on June 23rd, and now we're going to get some clues about the next episode of Orphan Black from that show's wonderful cast. Or maybe it was their clones. Anyway, check it out.
Hi. We're the cast of Orphan Black.
And if you guys are caught up, that means that you just saw episode 2 of season 5, and you are gearing yourselves up to watch episode 3.
So we are going to talk about a few things that happened in episode 2 and some things to watch out for in episode 3.
In a salacious segment we like to call 3 on 3.
The next generation.
If we've just watched episode 2, then we know about healing potential.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or at least
that they might have some kind of rapid healing.
That might be connected to Kira as well. Then that
also, don't leave needles around Helena.
Yeah.
That's always a good rule of thumb.
The 170-year-old man.
I don't think we know his intentions so far.
No.
And so he sort of is in that gray area that a lot of Orphan Black characters kind of live in.
But he certainly is like a means to an ends for maybe finding out what it's all about. So I think that is becoming clear, that maybe we finally will find out, but maybe not.
MK, R.I.P. Yeah, brutal scene to shoot and to watch, and a horrible way for a very innocent creature to kind of go. Sad to say bye to that character for sure.
an extra sort of nail in our feelings against Ferdinand.
Also, that clone scene between Sarah and MK was the first one-take clone scene. Like one shot, one continuous shot. So from the time Sarah walks in the door to the time she leaves and MK grabs the knife, that is all one shot. And it was meticulous.
Is that the pass-off one?
We changed clothes.
Are you serious?
It was very intense.
Wow.
The camera never cuts, which normally we had little cuts here and there to kind of save us.
You
but
can't get a gesture wrong. You can't. Wow.
It was exhausting.
After school special.
Some stuff goes down.
Yeah, I am proud to say that one of the things that happens in this episode is a direct result of a kitchen party in the house that I was living in with my family in Toronto. And at one of the parties, Kristen Brune did something that was so outrageously amazing, and Graham Manson happened to be there, and so he wrote it into this episode.
He threatened to put it in an episode, and I said, good luck, bud. There's no way that you can get this and this into the same episode. There's no way you can do that. And
he did.
He did.
Less is Moreland.
What do you mean?
Well, wordplay comes into play a lot.
Yeah. We see a lot of, we see more of Moreland.
Moreland.
Factors in heavily.
None the wiser. Why do I have to ham everything up?
I think we all did. It's okay.
Helena. Oh.
Back to basics. Back to where she knows, the convent.
Now you've seen everything you need to know to enjoy the third episode of the fifth and final season of Orphan Black.
So be sure to tune in at 10 o'clock on Saturday to BBC America.
But you probably already knew that.
I'm not gonna laugh on that.
Actor Jim O'Heir stopped by recently to talk about his new film, Middleman, and some other things you might find interesting. Hint, you Parks and Rec fans are in for a treat. Take a look.
Hey, I'm Jim O'Heir. The folks at the EWS show apparently have some incriminating pictures on me, so I am going to do this thing where I'm going to answer 3 questions about my past, my present, or my future. But I do get to decide which one, apparently. Again, they have the pictures, so they'll edit it however they want to. Sounds fun, though. Let's go. Okay, so let's begin. Past, present, or future. Oh, I'm good looking in all of them, but I like to see myself in the past sometimes. So let's go past. I was in a group called White Noise, and we were this crazy group at the time. We're talking mid-'80s, mid to late 80s, and at the time, we were doing pretty crazy shit. One of the White Noise guys named Patrick Hannon created a show called Stumpy's Gang. In Stumpy's Gang, the premise was I was a janitor working in a genetics factory, and I was supposed to kill the mistakes. Instead of killing them, I created a puppet show. At the end of this play, spoiler alert, a big vagina puppet, I mean huge, comes out, and it basically kills everybody and everything. And I credit Stumpy's Gang with my career, because we brought it to LA and it became a cult classic there too. So it got, I got agents and managers, and that's what you have to get to start your career here. So Stumpy's all the way. Okay, now that I've been riveting on a question from the past, and I think we can agree, riveting, let's jump. Let's do future. When we were wrapping Parks and Rec, NBC gave Amy the option, with Mike Schur, the creator, to what do you want to do? We're on board with whatever you want to do, because the show is doing well and whatever. And Amy and Mike decided we're going to wrap it up. We're going to do 13 and call it, you know. And so we decided, it was heartbreaking, but it was time. We wanted to go out with people still wanting us there. At this point, Chris Pratt has become the Guardian of the Galaxy. He's the Jurassic Park dude. You know, he has blown up. And we're at the Q&A, and someone said, if Amy wanted to continue this show, you know, they said it to Pratt, you know, what would you do? And he goes, well, what do you mean? I would just do the show. Like, it wasn't even a question in his head. That's where we all were. We would have done that show. You do other stuff around it. But the love And the laughter on that show was every day for 7 seasons. So when I go back, I would, whatever it took. Though, next time I would be the lead, and Amy Poehler could do craft services. And my character would, at this point, be called Marty. I don't know why. Okay, so I've given you past, I've given you future. What's happening today, people? Let's find out. Okay, present. Here's the thing about Middleman, because it is about a guy who wants to become a stand-up comedian. He's been raised on the comedy from the 50s, which worked in the 50s, wouldn't work today. As far as research, I only had to do one scene where it was true bad stand-up. And I cannot say a name, but there is someone that I know who did that, and he was awful. And we would go and we'd support him, and you were like, oh, hell, this sucks. So I kind of went off of that. And I give stand-ups a lot of credit. I couldn't do it. When I've trained with improv where you're with other people. And so if things aren't going well, okay, well, we're all together and, throw it to somebody else. When these stand-ups get up there, it's just them. And live or die by it. And I am in awe of them, and I will not do that. Well, this has been Past, Present, Future. I am told they'll show me as they delete the pictures they have, because that's the only reason I did this. But more seriously, I had a great time. Please go see Middleman. It is in theaters now. It's going to be on video on demand. And then I believe in October, Netflix. Middleman, dark, funny. It's the anti-Jerry.
Now it's time to jump from comedians to rappers. I sat down with the cast of the 50 Cent produced show Power to chat about the 4th season of their high-stakes drama. And they were just as powerful as you could ever imagine. Check it out. The new season opens, Ghost is in jail.
Yeah.
Yes. And it looks like from the trailer, he's having a real tough time in there. Leela, your character, Angela, put him there.
Yeah, for good reason.
Yeah.
According to her, Angela didn't see the scene where Mike shot Greg. She thinks that all the evidence points to him actually having murdered Greg, and Angela feels guilty for letting it slide when he murdered Lobo, so now this innocent guy gets killed, so she has to put an end to it.
Well, Leela, did you have any idea that this show would be this huge?
Some people say that they did. I didn't. I just sort of, it's like cooking Thanksgiving dinner for the first time for a bunch of people, and you're just crossing your fingers everyone's gonna like it.
That nothing
we don't get to see playback, and so when you're in it, it's really hard to have perspective, and particularly as an actor, you struggle with that sort of insecurity bug of am I doing a good enough job? And so it's great to see the feedback and the love. It's awesome.
Initially there were all these comparisons between Power and Empire. I think it's pretty clear now that these shows are wildly different.
Completely different, yeah.
How did you all react to those comparisons initially?
There is no comparison.
Yeah.
Really, I feel like the community, a lot of times, it could be the urban community, it could be Hollywood trying to loop us all together because there's a black lead, there's a black female wife who's like the boss, the Tasha Cookie, are we all, we're not the same.
No.
And if you watch Power, you'll know we're not the same. So I actually think that they've outgrown that facade.
Yeah. I agree. I think that the only comparison is that we're both two successful black shows, on TV.
One on cable, one on
network. So I think that was what got it. But then after a while, people are starting to see that there's no comparison.
Yeah. I got to ask you, what's it like to have 50 Cent as a boss?
I can speak. Yeah, he's awesome. I mean, for me, I see him on both sides of the spectrum. I see him as a musician because I'm signed to his label, but also I see him as an actor, and I spend a lot of time with him on set. So ultimately, he's just a hard-working Renaissance man that's
Very
about
smart.
his business and master marketing genius and extremely brilliant, and will listen and treat everyone the same in the room. He'll talk to everybody and have no ego about it. And one of the most humble superstars that I've come across, truly.
Really?
Easy.
Don't make him mad.
But if you make him mad, though, he crazy.
Wait, Leela, what happens if you make him mad?
He's crazy.
I think we've all seen what happens when you make him mad.
We just haven't been on the end.
We just,
that.
thank God.
Thank God.
Yeah, that's hallelujah.
That's our show. Thanks to all my guests, and don't forget to grab the American Crime Story issue of Entertainment Weekly on newsstands now and at EW.com. And I'll leave you with a word from social media sensation Justine Ezerick, a.k.a. iJustine. Bye.
Hey EW The Show, I'm iJustine, and today we're going to be going through some of my do's and don'ts on making it big on YouTube, or at least just surviving. Do number 1. Do have good audio. That is one of the most important things ever, because if people can't hear you, why are you even making a YouTube video? It doesn't even make sense. Do number 2. Do have good lighting. And as you can see here, we're in a great studio, so we have incredible lighting, but if you're just starting out, daylight works perfectly. Or when I first started, I actually just used lamps from IKEA. That also works too. Do number 3. Do make videos that you like watching, because if you can't watch a video that you're in, trust me, nobody else is gonna like it either. Or maybe they will. That's a whole nother side of YouTube. Do number 4. Do make topical videos. If there's something that you're searching for, there's a really good chance that somebody else is searching for it too. So let you be the one that they find to help answer their question. Do number 5. Do attend events. Going to events and finding other people who are doing the same thing that you're doing really, really helps. And you can make some new friends to make YouTube videos with. Now for the don'ts. Don't number 1. Don't blatantly copy exactly what another YouTuber is doing. It's a very small community, and trust me, they're gonna call you out. Don't number 2. Don't worry about views. When you're first starting out, you're not going to be getting the views that you're expecting, but don't worry, they will come. Just keep making consistent videos and it'll all work out. Don't number 3. Don't use copywritten music. If you plan on monetizing any of your YouTube videos, find yourself some nice royalty-free tracks. Then soon you'll find yourself listening to those in your car while you're driving. Don't number 4. Don't be afraid to take chances. There's a lot of times there's some video ideas that I think might be too crazy, but most of those end up turning out to be the coolest ones that you can ever create. So take the chance. You might be happy. Don't number 5. Don't be afraid to take a break. There seems to be this misconception that it's super easy and you just post videos, but there's editing, shooting, posting, and you will get burned out. So don't be afraid to take a break. If you plan on uploading every day, it's okay to skip 1 or 2. They'll still be there tomorrow. Well, that's it, guys. Those are some of my do's and my don'ts. Those are some of the things that I follow pretty much every day, so hopefully they'll help you guys, and I will see you guys on YouTube. Let me know what your channels are. I'll subscribe. That was me subscribing.